everyone, I'm Grace Agner from the Minnesota Daily. Welcome back to another episode of In the Know, a podcast dedicated to the University of Minnesota. I had a restful semester break, but I'm happy to be back in the studio recording another podcast for your listening pleasure. I'm sure many of you can relate to how I spent most of my winter break, working on my resume, writing cover letters, and applying to countless summer jobs and internships. While I'm excited about the next steps in my academic and professional career, I realized quickly that there is a lot I don't know about how to get hired in today's changing job market. Friends, classmates, and coworkers of mine are in the same boat, whether they're looking for a summer internship or their first job post-grad. On today's episode, we'll hear from students navigating the job market for the first time, a professor who studies AI in education, and two experts in being a successful job applicant. Students like Logan Bone and Abby Schmitz have struggled to find a job. Bone, a third-year student majoring in strategic communications, has applied for summer internships for the past 2 years, but says she's often been disregarded because of her lack of experience.
I remember that was kind of the pattern earlier on, I guess, was being dismissive of my age a little bit. Even though I felt I had the skill sets to offer them, I could work hard, I can learn fast. And then I guess patterns more recently has been, I feel like a lot of the communication does fall on the student, which I'm not necessarily saying that that is right or wrong. It feels like it's my job to reach out, and then not only reach out, but if they don't reply, follow up. I know a lot of teams have shrunk in terms of position size, but I will say that that can feel somewhat discouraging to me and to a lot of people I've talked to whenever you have to be the one to follow up and you have to be the one to reach out all the time.
Schmitz, a second-year student majoring in music education, is looking for a minimum wage job to keep during the school year. She said her biggest struggle is not getting responses, whether rejections or acceptances, from employers.
I have applied for probably 40 jobs since my second semester of my freshman year. I've applied to on-campus jobs, university jobs, off-campus. I've started looking in St. Paul as of recently. I've gone in person to employers and said, here's my resume and my availability, and I have gotten one interview. I just wish I knew why they don't respond. Honestly, that's it. Like why? Are these just those ghost jobs that people are talking about? Like they post them with no intent to even hire someone? I don't know.
Schmitz plans to be a music teacher, which doesn't typically require an internship during college, and she's not particularly worried about finding a job after graduation, as there is a high demand for teachers nationwide. However, the starting salary for music teachers was about $41,000 in 2021, and Schmitz is worried about working to save money now to provide a financial cushion for her first teaching years. Bone has been frustrated by a work experience paradox, where employers want applicants for entry-level jobs to have multiple years of experience in their field, but the college students are applying to those jobs to get said entry-level experience. Last year, she built a connection with someone who worked at a public relations firm. When applications opened for an internship at the connections company, she applied, confident she could get the job.
I was super excited about that, and then he brings me in for an interview, and in the first 5 minutes, he sat me down and he says, I can't give you this interview in good faith knowing that you're not even top 5. And that was one of my crazier experiences with an internship interview process, where I was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to burn this bridge, you're right? Because I don't want to make any enemies in comms, and I don't want to cry. So I remember sitting there and being like, oh, okay, well, okay. And so then where do I go from here? Immediately, it just made me lack a little bit of trust for these people that I'm reaching out to and talking to. And then it also was, like I said, kind of just discouraging. And I started thinking about plan Bs for after college, because I was like, I'm going to graduate in a year. And if I'm not able to land anything, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go?
The U.S. job market has stagnated over the last few years, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. After hitting a peak of 13% in April 2020, the national unemployment rate has been in the low single digits since 2022, but slowly climbing. At the end of 2025, 4.4% of Americans were unemployed. Employers are posting fewer positions and hiring fewer people, making it more difficult to find a job. Students like Bone and Schmitz are navigating this job market with added challenges like ghost job postings, AI application review software, and mass apply options in popular job search sites like LinkedIn and Indeed. Bone said she feels like these job board platforms have scrubbed the value of interpersonal connection from the job search process.
I think that the hard part with using a platform that scans for like buzzwords and scans for things like that is tough, because a lot of what you might be proud of as a person that you have done in your life is not represented on your LinkedIn or is not represented in your resume. And so I remember with this last lead I've had, I approached the interview, or like my first conversation with the head of marketing for Electric Fetus, a little bit differently. And I came in and I talked about how proud I am of the things that I've done in terms of developing soft skills, and in terms of like, I am proud of my experience and the work I've done in my life outside of the classroom, whether that be in jobs I've had or in orchestra or whatever. And I think presenting myself that way, like being able to value that experience, even though it's not what maybe class or professors or professionals tell me to value, it presented me a little bit differently. And I remember her specifically telling me, like, I really like that you can still recognize the effort and the value in the experience that you've had.
John Bartus, who teaches introductory computer programming and technology ethics courses at the university, said the computer science industry has been shrinking for myriad reasons, including, but not exclusively, the growth of AI.
It's easy to blame AI. I think there are a lot of factors going on, right? I think that the number of computer science graduates has been increasing every year for the past 50 years. And it could be somewhat that we have saturated the market, right? Regardless of AI, that we are reaching a point where that needs to balance out a little bit. Certain companies of the biggest companies have scaled back their entry-level jobs as they're like not sure about the economy in general. I think AI has contributed to that. They're not sure how AI is going to affect programming or entry-level jobs in general. I think the hiring processes are just nervous at this point and kind of waiting to see what happens.
Art Larson, the director for Minnesota's state job preparation service, Career Force, said putting effort into making connections with employers is crucial to succeeding in a job market with weary employers.
The key is balancing reactive versus proactive job search. And the easiest way you can get away from those ghosting is to make connections directly to businesses you're interested in. It's not the only tactic. I mean, you're balancing the two. You're looking at job postings, but you're also taking the opportunity to research employers that you are interested in, whether they have a job posting or not. And the reason is, when a job is posted, employers know why you're contacting them, because in Minnesota, they have to post the wage. And it's the number one reason anyone works, obviously, is you want to get paid. They know why you're approaching them. If you approach them outside of that, meaning that you're looking maybe for an informational interview or looking to network, they know you're interested in the company and you're developing that relationship.
Minnesota's Career Force service is free and can help people look for a new job or their first job. Career Force counselors help job seekers prepare their resume, cover letters, and interviews to set them up for success in the application process. In addition to the rise of AI and a saturated labor market, Bartus said that an undergraduate degree simply doesn't get people as far as it did a decade ago, especially in the computer science field.
Computer science has become kind of like medicine, where 100 years ago for medicine, or 30 or 20 years ago for computer science, you could graduate with a computer science degree and know most of computer science. Like when I graduated from university in 1997, just my undergraduate degree at the time, I dabbled in most available areas, from cybersecurity to graphics to, everything. But now that's just not possible as an undergraduate. It's just not. And so if you want to become like a front-end web developer for Facebook or Google or some big company, it's not enough to just have an undergraduate degree. They're just not hiring the general undergraduate anymore. You need to have a UX specialty or another degree or experience or something that makes you stand out from the other million undergraduate computer scientists.
While computer science is just one industry of many, the idea of specialization to stand out rings true across career fields. Larson said it's important to develop skills specific to the job you want.
Demonstrate to an employer that you're keeping up with trends. You're keeping up with AI. You're understanding the needs of employers. When I first started this work, I thought I would teach myself out of a job very quickly because I was teaching people computer skills as they relate to workforce. I found that gap is still there. People coming out of college have academic computer skills for doing papers and maybe sharing information. That is slightly different than what an employer is looking for. So, what have you done lately to improve your skills? Take some free courses online. Keep up to date with certain things. Take an AI course, a free course, so that when they say, well, how does AI impact our work? You can say, well, I'm taking this course right now. I found it very interesting. And it shows that even though maybe you're not doing it through a work experience, you are investing in your career outside of that.
The unique challenges in today's job market can be daunting, especially for college students and recent graduates looking for their first positions. But Larson and Sarah Newberg, the director for UMN's Career Services, have some helpful tips for students.
I sit on AI panels with employers, and they're getting really sick of seeing the perfect resume. And you say, well, why would you be sick of seeing the perfect resume? Well, it's because it's super easy. You can have AI spit out a resume that is going to look like you are the absolute perfect candidate. They saw through that very quickly. So customizing your resume based on your actual experience to meet the needs of that employer. And sometimes it's just using the words. So I'll give you an example. I'm a trainer. I've been training people on technical skills and job search skills for decades. If someone's looking for a facilitator, guess what? Now I'm a facilitator. As long as I can stand behind that, I'm going to use their words to describe my skills.
Newberg said one of the best habits students can add to their everyday routine is to tell people, whether it's a family member, friends, your parent's coworker, or a stranger, what you're studying and what career you want. She calls this the hidden job market.
We really want to emphasize the importance of building connections to people who are in a place to guide and support. I've known students even in the grocery store line who built connections that paid off for them. So it's just, I'm a student at the university and I'm studying XYZ, and I'm hoping I can get an internship this summer that's related to that. So then what happens is people all want to help, and people say, oh, I know somebody who does that kind of work. Then what do? The next step is you really need to reach out to that person, which I know takes a little courage for most of us to, reach out to that person we don't know. But it's really a pretty pleasant process of just reaching out and saying, I'm looking for career guidance. Here's what I'm trying to do. Do you have any advice for me?
Larson and Newberg both recommended using job sites that are vetted to filter out ghost jobs and AI-generated positions, like Handshake and CareerForce's job search tool. Bartus also cautions against thinking that AI is going to change the job application and hiring process permanently. Instead, he said students should think about the type of personal ethics they want to have as they apply for jobs.
If I could wish for one thing, it would be that students would keep in the back of their minds as undergraduates, as you're developing into the person you want to be, think about the ethical person you want to be. We train young people all the way through college by saying you have to get grades, and if you do things wrong, we'll punish you. And there is so little talk of things like, don't cheat because we'll punish you. No, don't cheat because you don't want to be the kind of person that cheats.
Bone said the frustration she's already dealt with in her internship search has given her a more balanced perspective on the role professional opportunities play in her life. She knows she learns something new about herself with each experience, and that one setback doesn't define her worth as a budding professional and a person.
I think it's so easy to think I should be at this certain point, or I should be this or that. And it's like we're 20, maybe 21, 22. And we're so young, and to me, it's not that serious. And I hate that shame is such a part of the way that professionals talk to people in some ways. Like was saying, well, whenever I was your age, I had this many internships in college. I was reaching out to all of these businesses to try to help them with, freelance work and whatever. And I'm like, that's great, but it's just not the world today. It just boils down to having some grace with yourself and understanding that you're a person and your professional success doesn't, like, not to sound redundant, but that your professional success does not define who you are.
Whether you just created a LinkedIn profile and have no clue what to post, are looking for a summer internship, or your first job, I wish you luck. One of the many things I learned from reporting this episode is that I have a lot to offer an employer, despite how daunting the job search process can be. And I'm sure the same is true about you. That's all I've got for you today, folks. This episode was written by Grace Agner and produced by Cece Heinen. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't be afraid to send us an email at podcasting@mndaily.com. I'd love to hear from you. My name is Grace Agner. Be safe, be well, and I'll talk to you next time on In the Know.